Bring me a cupcake.
Hello, welcome to episode 96 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's John Denton. With me as always, Chet Roivas.
Hello.
So you know the deal by now. There's been 96 of these bastards. 2 top 10 lists, 10 being the game we played the least this week, 1 being the game we played the most. Now, before we start, very quickly, we have been having some problems with Skype, so if there sounds like there is gaps or awkward pauses between Chet and I speaking, we haven't fallen out, we're not having a domestic, there is just some issues with Skype, but it seems like it's going to be all right. So bear with us. Chet, number 10.
Right, okay, yeah. My number 10 is NBA Live 14 on the PlayStation 4.
The EA one?
The EA one, yeah. Have you not? I mean, there's a demo. Have you not downloaded it?
Oh, no, I didn't.
It came out quite quietly. I mean, I didn't. There was no fanfare, but you can see why as soon as you start playing it. I mean, I don't really know why it exists. As soon as you start it up, it looks a bit like FIFA. It's got that same Windows 8 panel menus thing, and then you start the game, and it's the frame rate's quite choppy, and the character animations are nowhere near as smooth as NBA 2K14. I mean, that's the problem. There's been constant competition from FIFA, but I think it's pretty much inarguable that the NBA 2K games are the best sports games that there are. And the EA needed to come out swinging, and they haven't. It's just a kind of really dull. There's no groundwork. There's nothing to expand upon next time. It's just it's a slightly wet carbon copy of a game that's at least twice as good as it.
Yeah.
I had a game, and I was just like, I mean, you can say what you like about FIFA, but those guys do toy with how those games work year in and year out, to the point where sometimes they potentially fuck with it functioning at all. In order to try and sort of find new gameplay systems, etc., etc. But this is just, I don't know why this exists. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, this has been canned for God knows how long. They'll probably can it again on the evidence of this because it's crap.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I think one of the developers actually came out and put a message out afterwards, kind of apologising, but it was one of those ones where it was very passive-aggressive, saying it's very hard to make a game in a year, all this sort of stuff, hinting that they got kind of thrown under the bus. I watched a comparison video of 2K14 and this week, in fact, and the difference between the two is just night and day when you watch them side by side. Even not just the graphics and stuff. Like in NBA 2K, I'll talk about it later, but the player movement's amazing, and I didn't realise how good it was until I saw the footage of live, and they're just all standing still like they used to back in NBA Live 97. It's like, damn, that's not really a very impressive next generation sports game. But yeah, I mean, they obviously needed to come back after 3 years, basically giving the whole market to 2K. They needed something, but that ain't it, especially for 60 odd quid or whatever it costs on the PlayStation Store.
But it's not like, I mean, there's just nothing. I felt like I was being sold like dishcloths on my doorstep. It's just like, here's we've got all the things you need. Player, 1 player, 2 player, career mode, ultimate. It just sits there like, do you want to play me? I was like, not really. It's like I said, they had to come out swinging to try and do something, offer something a little bit different. Pro Evo's a great example because, again, you can say what you like about it. At least they're doing stuff. Yeah. At least they're trying to sort of go their own way with it. This is just, like I said, a carbon copy of a game that is infinitely superior. You should try the demo, though, just to have a look, because it is a bit of a mystery, really.
Yeah, we'll do that, actually, just to see it, or just to play it.
Genuine.
But another EA game for me, then. It's Need for Speed is my number 10.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a huge amount of time on it. It's in a strange place. I don't really feel like playing through the career of either side anymore. I've done most of the cop, but I was just playing as a racer. But it's still fun to just put on and just kind of exist in that world and the chaos that it throws up. It's a weird game. I'm assuming. Are you going to talk about it later?
No, I'm waiting. I'm going to pick it up on Xbox One. But so.
I'll elaborate slightly more then. I've said this in multiple places. It feels, when I say it feels half finished, it's not really to the game's detriment too much that I mean that, because it's still very complete and it doesn't feel like how's the best way to explain it? Well, normally when you say a game feels half finished, it's a mess, it's broken. Yeah, Battlefield, for example. This isn't broken at all, apart from there's a problem where it does this host migration thing, which is annoying. It can kill your event, and that's annoying. But apart from that, it feels very complete. But the fact there's only 6 players on the map at any time, it's a big map. And it feels like the whole aim of what they were trying to do with the game, they haven't really managed to achieve it because there's just not enough real people on the map at any point. So it felt like, to me, I've said this before, that they had a great idea, a grand idea. They started to execute it and went, hold on, we're going to have to cut it short here because we don't have enough time to get this done. But they realised that soon enough that they could still make a nice, fun, excellent game. But if somehow they could have had another year, this would have been a masterpiece because all the structure around these ideas could have come in. But as it is, I mean, it's fucking good fun and it looks good and it moves fast and it does a good job of emulating Criterion stuff and not technically being a Criterion game as well.
A lot of the team is still with them now.
They are, but still, that sometimes doesn't matter.
True that. I'm waiting. I've got a couple of friends who have it, and we're waiting. We're going to go and do it together.
Yeah, so, that'll be interesting.
Hopefully,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll smash the shit out of that fairly shortly. Okay, my number 9 is a game called Don't Be Late for Your Date on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game. I haven't been in the indie game area for a little while. It's still going. It's not going strong. It's slowed right down. I mean, I think there's probably been 5 or 6 or 7 at the most games released since Christmas. But yeah, it was nice. It was good to see badly rendered bikini-clad women again. I kind of miss them. That's what's on the front of the cover of this game, by the way. I have a feeling that this is made by the same person who made a game I spoke about weeks ago called Fiscal Cliff. I don't know if you...
I remember the name. I don't remember much more about it than that.
You're driving... It's a driving game where you're driving from left to right, but it's got that confusing viewpoint where it's also top-down because there's the car's side on, but there are 3 lanes.
Okay,
so you're like, what am I looking at? Each level starts with a woman standing, sometimes scantily clad, and she says, "They always say, can I, pick me up a pizza and give me a CD?" And you drive along, and there's cars. And these things are lying in the road. At some point, you'll see a pizza, and you have to drive over it to pick it up. You can also shoot, inexplicably. You can shoot cars, and like Fiscal Cliff, it's headache-inducing.
What's the inspiration for a game like this?
I don't know. I mean, solely money. I don't know why it exists. I mean, the funny thing is, if it's made by the same guy, it's almost exactly the same game. Except that was great because it had that cat in a jumpsuit, Evel Knievel or something, which was a bit charming. Actually, saying that, the third girl on the third level, her spiel's great because she wants a burger and a cupcake. It's all these like supermodels who want all this junk food, and she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the armoured cars or the armoured police are after you, so shoot them." I mean, it's just a fucking load of shit, really. I mean, and when you succeed, this lady friend is normally bent over in leather trousers and a thong, like caressing her hair. Go, yeah, great, you made it with my fucking cupcake and my pizza. I don't know. I mean, it's rubbish.
It sounds like a fucking dream. You woke up and you covered the bed in sweat because you're really ill.
I think you said exactly the same thing about Fiscal Cliff, so I think it must be the same guy.
Insight into my dreams, I guess.
It's worth it for a couple of laughs, I suppose.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It really blatantly is not.
My number 9 is Pinball Arcade on PS4, the other one. It was quite an easy decision in the end because I played this for a bit, and the table you get is Arabia. I'm going to call it Arabian Nights. It might not be called that, something like that, which by all accounts is a real table. I don't know much about real pinball tables, but the whole affair just felt a bit cheaper than Zen Pinball to me. The sound. The main reason was the sound. It was really tinny, and I don't know why it was so shit. I think it, in some ways, it actually looked nicer, but it wasn't as fun to play, and I can't really put my finger on why. Zen Pinball was really fun straight away. This was kind of tedious, and I just thought, well, that's easy. I'll stick with Zen going forward. So I didn't play it for long, but it was nice that it just kind of made my decision. And I've also heard this one. If you do have it on other systems, you have to pay to get the tables you've already got, whereas in Zen you don't have to do that. So another point for Zen.
My number 8 is actually both of those games together, Zen
brilliant.
Pinball and Pinball Arcade. Zen is really flash. I mean, it's very much a video game. It's taken pinball and turned it into a game. The screen is so busy. My girlfriend was playing it. I was playing it, and my girlfriend was there, and she's played this on one system or more systems. She's played it many times before, and she was trying to explain to me all the different ways of scoring, how you have to hit these things in order, make things appear and then knock them down. I mean, I was just like, and there's unlock secret passages, and she keeps saying, do this. I'm like, just so much purple, so many flashing lights. I can't, it's so busy that I didn't really understand what was going on. I did actually play it again yesterday, and I beat your score.
That's not hard.
There are a couple of people on our friends list who are, they have ridiculous high scores. But yeah, it's fun. I'm starting to sort of understand it a bit more. It's pretty good. Pinball Arcade, on the other hand, I still quite like, but it goes in a completely different direction. It's like, whereas Zen Pinball was all fancy, this is kind of like the machines are almost photorealistic. Yeah. And you can trial all of those. There's the selection of tables. There's a Star Trek one and a Twilight Zone one. You can try them all there's a score limit, but you can try all of the tables.
Oh, can you?
And I like the info panel at the beginning about who designed the machine, how the systems work. I mean, it's an Anorex game, basically. If you're a pinball, a nutcase about real-life pinball machines.
The pinball wizard, perhaps.
Exactly. Well said. It's going to make those kind of people go weak at the knees, and it's very lovingly done. The thing that I had a problem with is that I think the ball physics are almost hyper realistic in Pinball Arcade, because the amount of times the ball would just go straight in between the flippers like on a normal pinball machine, and that doesn't really happen on Zen Pinball. There are so many ways to get out of jail that it felt like, there's no free balls or anything. I was just like, I kept dying. I was like, that reminds me of when I used to play real pinball. So it's the real deal. But I'd rather get 655 billion points for tapping a couple of buttons. So yeah, they're two different things, really.
That's a better explanation than I could ever give. But it's all about Zen.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, more PS4 time. Trine 2, another one I downloaded the trial for, but hadn't got around to playing. I never actually played Trine or Trine 2 before, but was well aware of what they were. The 3-player co-op and not co-op. Not 3-player, 3-character. Swap between them, solve puzzles, platformer. This one is stunning to look at. And it opens with, you do a brief section with all 3 characters. You've got a wizard, a big burly knight, and some sort of thief woman with a grappling hook. When you play through their individual sections independently at the beginning, I really enjoyed all 3. The wizard can kind of summon stuff out of the air. The knight obviously has a sword and he's tough, and as I said, the grappling hook. Everything felt really nice. It's smooth. It does look. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. But as soon as they all got together and I started having to solve puzzles, okay, this guy needs to do this, and then I just thought, there's nothing wrong with what I played at this game. I mean, there really isn't anything wrong with it. It's very familiar in terms of what some of those puzzles are, and it's admittedly very, very early on. But I just made a snap judgment in that I don't have time to play a game like this right now, a game where I'm balancing something on one side of a log so the other half goes up into the air so you can jump up. I'm sure the puzzles get more involved later on. This is by no means a review. It was just, I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't like this game, and it's not that I don't like it, it's just that it was enough for me to know that I can write it off, and I don't have to worry about it or feel like I should need to play it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I mean, why you didn't buy it? Did you?
No. There's a trial.
Okay. Trying to, yeah, that's a funny one, because I always have I've never played either of those 2 games either, but the way it kind of appears to appear on every single system, and it's a semi-event when it does. Everyone's like, Trine 2's coming to a thing, and it never goes down in price. I'm like, the only games that don't tend to go down in price are like Nintendo games. So I'm wondering why. People. I mean, I don't know. I've literally never tried it. But,
it was extremely well made. Even what I played, it looks great, but I don't need anything that taxes me in that way right now. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'll probably try the trial though. Is it exclusively single player?
No, it's co-op as well.
Oh, you can do co-op for 3 or 2?
That I don't know, but I know it's you can do offline co-op definitely.
Okay, all right. Maybe one day. Or maybe not, I don't know. Okay, well, my number 7 is Hotline Miami on the PlayStation Vita. I was around a friend's place just hanging out, and he had to take an important phone call, so I just thought, I reached into my bag and pulled the Vita out. And I played it while he was on the phone for about an hour. And after I finished, he was like, "What the hell were you playing?" Because I was basically convulsing all over the place. That game is like, it's such a roller coaster. I'd completely forgotten. And I just, it looks so simple, but it has such a purity to it. The visuals, but the gameplay as well. And you have to actually play it to understand, because he was looking at it like, "What is that?" And I'm just like, "You have no idea." I'm kind of grateful that I came to it late after all the hype, because I've still got more left to play. I've still got a few levels left to go, and that's just so nice knowing that that's just sat in my bag whenever I need it. And it's weird, when playing it, I was like, this should have been higher on my Games of the Year list, but I found it easier to sort of, I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of like the opposite of Last of Us, where I played it in the midst of all of that hype.
Yeah.
And here I'm kind of just doing it on my own pace. Well, I don't think it's any less brilliant than I would have done at the time, but I feel kind of guilty that it wasn't higher on my Games of the Year list, because it's just peculiar, really. It's just the way our stupid minds work, I guess. But a hell of a game. I mean, a hell of a game. It's as essential to if you have a Vita as Velocity Ultra, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Absolutely. Sequel's out soon. Well, soonish. A few months.
I just hope it's day and date.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So yes. That's going to be good. I played it already, and it was good, obviously. Talking of good, my number 7, it's Knack.
What?
Yeah, I know. Same situation as last week. My wife needed my little boy distracted for a little bit while she did something, and I said, "Do you want to play a game?" And he went, "Yeah, Knack." He says it with this weird roll of a K at the end. I think he's turning into a German. Anyway. Yeah, we just did a bit of Knack, and once again, I don't mind it. It's exactly the same thing. I might as well be repeating myself from last week. We played it for a bit, he enjoyed it for a bit, then he fucked off as is his wont, and I continued playing it for about another 15 minutes. I don't know what to say. There's actually, to be fair to it, I got to, I think it's the end of the 5th chapter or either the beginning of the 6th, and the bit I was playing was actually way more involved than any of the rest of the game. It involved this laser beam, and you had to dodge it, and it was blowing up inside this kind of Aztec tomb thing, and you're dodging that and fighting things at the same time, and you can use the beam to kill the enemies. It was actually quite good. I reckon I'm going to end up finishing it. It's going to take me about 2 years every time I need to distract him, but it's definitely better than Killzone of the two big Ks on PS4 launch day.
Well, yeah, I think I agree with that. I would have to, go somewhere. I mean, I think that the primary problem with it is that it's mistuned. If they just patched it so that it was palatable and not brutally difficult left and right.
But you can put it down to easy.
Yeah, I know, but you can't. I mean, I wanted to do that retrospectively, so I couldn't. It doesn't let you do that. You have to go back and start from the beginning, which is a real pain in the balls. But yeah, I don't know. Knack, I'm so uninterested.
Oh yeah, don't play it. There's no reason to.
I never would. I mean, I gave that so many chances, and it just fucking kicks sand in my eyes every time. It's crapola. But yeah, enjoy it.
I'd seem to. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah,
I do like the feeling of punching the baddies. I do, and timing it. I won't lie.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. My number 6 is Robocop on iOS.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, it's on iPhone. Blah blah blah. I played it on an iPad. It's made by Glue Games, who made Frontline Commando, which is a game I spoke about about a year ago. It was a surprisingly passable Gears of War ripoff. And this is in exactly the same mould. It's a cover-based third-person shooter where the left side of the screen moves your perspective around and the right side is your targeting reticule. And in combat, you can tap the far side of the screen on each side to bounce between a set number of cover options. Normally there's 2, occasionally there's more than that. It's fine. It's like Frontline Commando. It's actually really, really quite fun to play for a little while. The microtransaction structure is, because it's free,
yeah.
The structure is identical to Fight Back, which I spoke about last week. Yeah. I think could have been good. Unfortunately, it's appalling. The Ninja Theory iOS game. It's identical. You have 2 currencies, and you constantly have characters advising you, "Hey, you're probably going to need this." It's exactly the same. I mean, the gold and this cash currency, but it's just the reason it's better than Fight Back is that it's just a lot more generous. I mean, guns are ridiculously expensive, but by and large, it's not that bad. You know, I mean, people still, like I said, come up and say, "Hey, if you can't do X, why not buy Y?" But you don't really have to. It's like, I mean, the presentation's very dicey. The frame rate's terrible. The enemy AI is appalling. I mean, often there's enemies just queuing up to just sort of kneel down and crouch in the plain sight. So it's like knocking down bowling pins, essentially. And occasionally explosions don't hurt enemies. Sometimes the slow-mo will trigger, but the explosion hasn't happened. Yeah, it's weird. It's just very bitty and sort of imperfect. So it has all of the dirty tricks that Fight Back had to try and get you to hand over your money, but it's not as aggressive. And I'm at a point in Fight Back where I think I literally can't progress without paying money. And this I can't say for definite, but I think you could probably, if not get to the very end, I think you could do a massive chunk of it without paying any money. It is, I mean, the same dirty tricks, like I said, but there is another one. They brought another one to the table, and that is when you have to pay for upgrades. In this, you can attempt upgrades, and you can spend money on them, and then they can fail.
What?
It's this sort of computer circuit board, and in order to sort of beef up your chances of succeeding, there's another currency which you can also buy, and there's loads of pop-up ads as well. So I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, I don't know. The market dictates this. I don't understand this structure. I mean, people seem to be happy. You know, if people weren't happy paying money this way, this game wouldn't be structured the way it is. But I just don't really understand. I mean, it seems weird, but I feel like the game is easier to praise because you can play it without paying for it. But then again, you shouldn't really. I'd be so much more comfortable if they just asked for money. But as it is, the game is fine. It's passable. Maybe a little better than that occasionally, but you're not going to be playing it for longer than an hour, I don't think.
So you'd rather pay 69p or whatever for it?
It's the same. It's the same as Fight Back. When I recommend it, and I'm like, yeah, it's not bad. I'm saying that because I like the way it doesn't.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't really think like that because if I'm enjoying something, I should. The structure's just, I don't know. Maybe we're old. Maybe we're just going to die out, and then it's going to be left to younger people are just going to be totally fine with this for evermore. I don't know. I just don't get it.
So if they charge for it, you'd be like, I'd buy that for $1.
That's the oh god.
Apologies.
The problem is that this is games that ask for money up front. People don't buy.
No, in that world they don't at all.
Yeah, so it's fucked up. I mean, this game is not worth paying for. I don't even know. It's passable and occasionally all right. It's
fucking Robocop, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the same as Frontline Commando. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The structure confuses me so fucking deeply. I just don't know. I don't know what.
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not. Bollocks.
My number 6 is a game called Sang-Froid, Tales of Werewolves, I believe the subtitle is. This is the game Christian Donnan wrote about on his Game of the Year for Eurogamer, and he recommended that I play it, and it appeared in the Steam sale for cheap, so I bought it. The game is it's fucking weird actually. It's you can pick one or two Canadian brothers. It's set in like the 1800s in Canada. They're like lumberjacks, and it's all snowy. And you can pick from one or two brothers, and wolves are attacking your home, and then your sister comes for some reason. There's story cutscenes at the beginning, but they were really badly acted, and it made it hard to follow. They were so badly acted, in fact, that I wish they just weren't voiced at all, and it had just been the text at the bottom of the screen, which actually read fine. Anyway, so the wolves are attacking your home, and at the beginning, early on in the game, you're asked to go outside and basically hack them up in a very rudimentary kind of hack and slash type of way. But the real point of the game is after that, you get a map of the area, an overhead map of the area, and you can start laying down traps. And quickly, you realise it's not wolves; it's also werewolves, and they kind of interact with each other in different ways, and they have like pack AI and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's kind of a mixture of tower defense and kind of action, and I can see the appeal. It just wasn't doing enough for me in the early stages, and it just felt like, because I don't like tower defense at all, this was I can tell it was a much more advanced and interesting and systemic version of that, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. And if I'd been drawn in more, like the voice acting did kind of kill it for me, to be honest. It is fucking awful. At one point, someone says the word candelabra as candelabra. So this is highbrow stuff. Anyway, it just wasn't my cuppa. And again, it just felt like a game that I can write off, which is a shame because, I mean, you read Christian's pieces. He wrote the review and he gave it a 9, and he wrote his piece over Christmas. And they made, as with everything he writes, you're completely involved and drawn in by it. But the game just didn't really capture my attention. It's a shame because I like games that are based around interesting ideas and interesting settings and stuff. But yeah, it's not for me, but I'm probably too stupid.
That doesn't sound interesting in the slightest, really, I have to say.
He made it sound interesting because he's some sort of wizard.
Yeah. But yeah, that didn't. I haven't read his review or that article, so I don't know.
His review made it sound a lot better than what I just made it sound like.
Yeah, I suppose the tower defense is not my favourite thing either. I like it now and again, but I don't know. Maybe will I play that game?
It's on PC.
Not. Only?
I think so.
Right.
It's got graphics and stuff, so yeah, I don't think it would appear anywhere else.
What do you mean? How big was the download?
It's 2 gigs, something.
Oh right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
It's like a proper.
It's got graphics, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What was it called?
Sang-Froid. Don't know what sang means. Froid means cold.
All right. Okay, well, number 5 is Super Mario 3D World on the Nintendo Wii U. My girlfriend and I were saving until after Christmas the world after you beat Bowser, which is kind of inspired by Super Mario Galaxy, where you unlock Rosalind as a playable character, and those little stupid things are bouncing all around the place. And yeah, we've been saving and we've just been going through it bit by bit, and it's hard as fuck. I mean, I know people have said that this is. I mean, it is a difficult Mario game, but when people started saying it's the most difficult in years, I'm like, well, the last year's one, was it last year? The 2D Wii U one.
Yeah.
That was ridiculously hard. I mean, this is nowhere near in that category, but it is difficult. And it's like the rest of the game that's crazily inventive. There's one star, one room you walk into, a single room where you play this game where you guide these balls to switches, and every time you jump, these flippers kind of. You just like like everything else. You're just like, wow, they could have made an entire game out of that. Same thing. I mean, there's an amazing top-down level where these hexagons are flying around and building in front of you. There's another level where you're chasing the flagpole from the very beginning. You've got 100 seconds and you just have to work out shortcuts while it's sort of flying away from you. It's like the rest of the game. It's demented how much... the level of invention is just second to none. And again, I said this at the time when I spoke about it before, but the multiplayer is not perfect. Some people have said they've really got it right, but it often doesn't know who to track. So I could be running ahead on the right path and my girlfriend could be hanging back, stuck behind a wall, and it will go back to her, and she might be somewhere where we can't progress, It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. I mean, it must have happened 20 times throughout the whole time we've played it, which is way too many because it just, you lose lives. And also, lives are pointless. I don't know why. Every time you start a game, you've got 10 lives, and every time you lose them all, they just give you another 10. And progress is saved. The only thing that changes is if you die and you've got the halfway checkpoint on a level, you'll have to start from the beginning again. But that's it. You just have to wonder why they bother with that shit anymore. But yeah, the game's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I'll get there soon enough. I'll get there soon enough. Yeah.
I know what happened. Before long, it'll start seeming like you don't need it and it's in the past and fuck it.
Yeah. No, I was actually looking at the box in the shop the other day, but yeah, it'll happen.
Progress, all right.
I need to get some other stuff out of the way first.
Yeah, I can do
it. All right, my number 5 then, brilliantly, is VVVVV. I just realised the link there. The Terry Kavanagh platformer, which Martin, our good friend and listener, has been badgering me to play for ages, and this was 39p in the Steam sale, which can't beat that. I knew I'd like it, and I do. It's sort of a wildly in a similar vein in a weird way to how Super Hexagon is. But also kind of married to a very, very old-fashioned, almost manic minory type of madness. You play as a little dude. Something to do with space happens. So you're on a spaceship, mate. It really doesn't matter. I don't even know why I'm explaining it, but you're given a big open area basically, and then within that are kind of levels that you find, and then they become areas that you have to get through. And at the end is a crew member. You're trying to find all the crew members that got lost. But the main hook of the game is obviously it's a 2D platformer with very old school graphics. As you press space, and the gravity changes, so you go onto the roof and you walk along the roof, and so the game is just puzzles and platforming. It's platforming conundrums based around that mechanic. It's when you're flowing in those levels, it's just brilliant. It's ingenious. It's incredibly difficult. A lot of it requires pixel perfect skill. A lot of it requires you to work out what the hell's going on and then execute. That is my cup of tea. Talking about games isn't my cup of tea. This is my cup of tea. The only problem is in between the levels you have to kind of find the next area, almost Metroid style, but I just kept getting lost because I have no, even in 2D plane with graphics from the 80s, I have no sense of direction. So I kind of got stuck about halfway through the game, unfortunately, which is pretty embarrassing. So I don't think it's a long game. But it is, I just need to concentrate. And then it's a shame for me because I've got no brain. I'd rather it was just all one connected, like singular linear experience where I could just enjoy those platforming conundrums constantly, but as it is, I just get lost. But very, very, very good, and definitely worth 39p. It just kind of reminds me of something else. Was there another game where you go and press a button and then suddenly you're on the ceiling and then you press it and you're having to do? I mean, another game might have ripped this off. I can't remember. I'm sure I'd played that mechanic before when I played it.
Possibly. I think I may have played something along those lines. I know it reminds me of a WiiWare game I played like late last year, but that was when you were tilting the Wii remote to tilt the world.
Yeah.
But I think it does sound like I may have played a game like that at some point. Yeah, recently maybe.
Yeah, they probably ripped this off to be honest, but it's a few years old now. It's a cracking game, but I always knew it would be.
Yeah, I think somebody told me to buy it on 3DS, but it was like a $5, and I didn't really know about it. Is it still? I don't understand Steam sales. Do they last longer? Don't they last like an hour?
Okay, I'll very briefly explain it. The whole Steam sale appears from it'll be over a 2-week period. Every single day they'll do 9, I believe it is, daily deals. They stay that way for 24 hours, and in that period, every 4 hours they'll do another 4 games as a flash sale. They're normally extreme bargains, and they literally only last those 4 hours. Whereas the main deals, you can actually get them the next day as well, and often deals will be repeated throughout the 2-week period of a Steam sale. So that's how it works. But you can kind of hold out and get stuff for crazy cheap.
I've always meant to play that game. Like I said, it's weird that Martin recommends it because the title sounds like the noise that his mate made in that video. What's the relevance of the title, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh, just a load of V's.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, fair enough. All right, okay. Well, my number 4 is Dead Rising 3 on the Xbox One. I'd already finished it, but another friend of mine has picked it up, so he's going through the campaign, and I'm just sort of jumping in and out and just hacking zombies up, helping each other to get collectibles. It's tremendously entertaining. If I hadn't felt so odd about having completed it the day we recorded the Games of the Year show, I would have ousted something to be in that top 20 because it's truly terrific. I mean, if you've had any quibbles with the Dead Rising series until now, they're gone. You know, anything that was an irritant before is just now gone. You know. The time limit is lax, and it's not really the same as it was before. The sort of frustrating thing where you missed everything. It saves automatically. It's so much fun. Everything's amped up to 11. There's 10, 15, 20 times as many zombies everywhere, and that's the funny thing. You'd think when you're mowing down zombies and you're steamrolling round the block, you'd think eventually as the game went on there'd be less zombies. There's not. There's more. So as the game goes on, you've just got more and more zombies to kill, and running around. Getting into scrapes and then like losing your weapons and then grabbing like detergent and a deodorant and then making a bomb and then it's tremendously good fun. And the story's pretty good as well. There are a couple of sort of lame missions, but far less than there normally are in sandbox games like this. It's terrific. Crafting vehicles, flattening zombies. It's so fun. I mean, I can't really stress it enough.
I do fancy it at some point to have a go anyway. Just a razz on it, but
I know I'm sure you'd like it. It's got a real goofy charm to it as well, and there's really actually the ending is really really cool. I mean, it's kind of like one of those cheesy 80s films where everything sort of there's kind of a vague conspiracy ending, and actually if you've played the first two games, there's a nice, not a twist, but something happens. You're like, oh fuck, that's nice. I mean, I've seen it done a million times before, but it was completely unexpected. It's just a far better game than the first two, and it's the best launch game of PS4 or Xbox One for sure.
It's no Resogun, I'll tell you that much, mate. It's no Resogun.
I think it is.
My number 4 then is a game that I managed to get hold of just before recording. Well, long enough to an hour, so it doesn't matter. My number 4 is Nidhogg. The game, it came out today. They were recording on Tuesday. This is the indie fencing game that's been doing the circuit on expos for the last couple of years. I'd never played it until today, and it's just come out on Steam, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's again, talking of cups of tea, you couldn't get more tea than this. This is like Earl Grey with the perfect amount of sugar, just enough milk, exactly how I like it. You would love this game too. Absolutely love it. Basically, so how it works. I'm terrible at working out which era different graphics types are. So like, it looks like almost an educational game. That's how shit the graphics are. But the animation's good. 2 dudes, one yellow, one kind of a dark peachy colour. I don't even know why I'm explaining these things. They don't matter. They're 2 fencers. They're in a room. The idea is one kills the other one, gets an arrow. It says go. They follow that arrow. Then they go to the next screen. The other fencer reappears. They try and kill each other. Eventually, one of them's trying to get all the way to the right. One of them's trying to get all the way to the left. If you get all the way to the right and you're the winner, then you run up a hill in front of a crowd and a giant worm eats you and you've won. And it's just this tremendous fencing back and forth because the game is so fast and skillful that it is a console game. There's no two ways about it. It is a console game. You play it on a pad. It is on PC at the moment, but it's destined for greatness on console. It is every ounce console game. You hold this sword out in front of you, and if it touches your opponent, it will stab them, and it goes through them, and all this like pixelated blood goes everywhere. So it's pretty cool. That can be held out front, up or down, easily controlled. Just jab up to put it to high level, down to put it to low level. But you can do, as your swords get closer to each other, you can disarm the other one by, say, if they're holding their sword low, but you go lower and then go underneath it and push up, you'll knock their sword out of their hand, and then you can stab them. You can also jump, roll, do dive kicks, throw the sword, do sweeps. Everything's moving really fast. And I've just been playing it online against other people, but just the tension as you fence, for one, is brilliant, and then the tension as it ramps up as they get nearer the goal, say they're moving to the left, it just gets more and more tense, and every single kill matters, and the whole thing's just moving at a fucking clip like that. That everybody's saying that this is a game that you need to play on the couch with someone else. I've had a lot of fun with it online, but I know for a fact that is right, with beers and hopefully a few more people around to watch. It's a winner. It's an absolute winner.
So you played against someone else competitively over the internet?
Yeah, there's a single player mode as well, but I haven't played that. I've just been playing online. Yeah, it match made pretty quickly. Just jumped in. There's 4 different environments. Played in all of them. All fun, weird. It has little ideas within it. Some bits have like weird conveyor belts with pits. There's another level which has tall grass, so you can't quite see your opponent through it. But the thing that is so good about the game is just the raw mechanics of it. We now live in an age where you can get games like this that are just raw mechanics drilled down into ideas and execution. They don't have to be window dressed with anything else. It is very stylish. It has a kind of almost weird downbeat drum and bass soundtrack by someone called Daedalus. I'm not saying it's not stylish, because it is in fact extremely stylish, but 10 years ago that a game like this would have to have to look nice and sell in a retail box and all that sort of business, where it doesn't have to do that now. And it's already been a real cult hit, and it's just, honestly, this game is just destined for greatness. It's destined to be on console, PS4, whatever it's on, and for people to fall in love with it. I'm sure it's going to do very well as it is, but yeah, that's what it's corker.
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard noise about it, but you sent me the trailer saying it does look really, really good. Haven't they? Were you right when you said that it was £10?
It's currently £10 on Steam, and that's at cut price. It's supposed to be 12, which I have to say is pretty damn steep. I mean, that really is quite steep. I've loved what I've played so far. If I was in a situation where, I've talked about this before, like you're a student, you live with people that play games, you're in a situation where you can play with mates a lot, then the value of that would be less offensive, if for want of a better word. But yeah, I mean, if you're just playing online, I still think that, I don't know, I was absolutely enwrapped by it until we recorded. I basically played until the second you appeared online before we started recording it, and I'm pretty sure that as soon as we finish, I'm just going to turn it on again. So it's difficult to even judge it like that. But I don't know, sometimes when those games are a little bit more expensive, but you know they're just made by a couple of people, I feel like you're kind of supporting them a little bit, and it's not Kickstarter or any of that bollocks. So, bottom line is it's coming to PlayStation. They've either said that officially or it's coming to a console. If it's coming to a console, it's coming to PlayStation, and it's if they can just tighten up a few things, like the matchmaking works right now, but it's kind of ugly, it's very basic. But if you could somehow have it with lobbies, or I don't know, the sky's the limit really. But yeah, what a fucking fun game.
Did you play it with a pad or?
Oh yeah, it's just a pad game. It's supposed to be played with a pad.
Okay, good. Well, I hope it comes to one of the consoles. Is the current version that's out now? Is it Mac compatible?
No, it's just PC.
Okay. All right.
It's just the good thing about it is if you do have it, it doesn't require any heft, so you can always play it. If your missus still has a laptop and you still have a wired 360 pad, you're in business.
Yeah. £10 though seems to.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's just one of those ones where it's a shame you don't live down the road, because a few beers in this would be corking.
Yeah. That sounds like something. Yeah, it sounds like something that would. I was going to say it would fit on the Xbox Live indie games, but it would clearly fit on services much more proficient and high tech than that. Although it could fit on there, I'm sure, having looked at it. But it just reminds me of discovering Hidden in Plain Sight and playing that round, with a few people, couch co-op. That was fantastically good fun. It sounds like something that would work in a similar sort of way.
Definitely, you could do tournaments. It's just it's really cool.
Okay, wicked. Okay, all right. My number 3. I don't want to talk about this unless it's your number 3. My number 3 is Don't Starve.
It's my number 1.
Okay, well, let's wait till then.
All right. Okay, my number 3. I don't have a huge amount more to say about it. It's NBA 2K14. I've just been playing more my career mode. It's just so good. It's really good. Got to the point where I think you start to get decisions to make in-game, which I wasn't expecting at all. Like one of the opposition did a hard foul on one of my players, and you get a Mass Effect style choice to come up to go and stand up for him or just ignore it. And then I stood up for him, got hauled into the general manager's office to get yelled at, and then had dialogue trees with him. Brilliant stuff. It really is. None of that stuff none of it takes so long that it really gets in the way. You spend way more time playing basketball than you do with any of that, but it just adds so much colour to what you're doing. And when the on-court action is so good, and it is so good, it's just... You said it is the best sports game. I mean, it's fucking a lot better than FIFA. It helps that I love basketball growing up. I played basketball. I used to watch a lot of it. I've started watching it again now since I started playing this, and watching it and then going to play it, it's amazing how close it is now. I mean, obviously the real game's ever so slightly more fluid, but the plays that you see on the TV, the player movement, which kind of blew me away watching the comparison video of the two games, and watching all these static guys in NBA Live, and then the way players would run from the 3-point line and they'll dive into the key and then back out at another angle, and everybody's rotating the whole time. It's amazing. Just a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to keep hold of that, I might go and pick it up.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, because that was the only thing. Because I've reviewed those games for the last 4 years or so, and I always loved them so much, but no one I knew played them. So I might have to invest in that when it's not £3,000.
Yes,
which is hopefully soon. Okay, my number 2 is a game called Runner 2: Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. I played it on a Mac.
Okay. Humble Bundle.
The Humble Bundle. Dave Turner of Joypod Infamy said that the new Humble Bundle, get it, it's Mac compatible, and I'm not annoyed with him, but I'm not annoyed at the bundle, but I do think it's deliberately misleading. It says it's completely Mac compatible, and it's not, because it's 5 games and 2 of them do not work on Mac. Papa EO and another one that I'd never heard of until I got the bundle. So I mean, it's not a great loss. I mean, I paid like $10 for it, and it went to charity and all that stuff. So I'm not annoyed or anything, but the fact that people could be misled into thinking that 2 of the 5 games are Mac compatible when they're not, it's a little bit that should be clearer. But regardless, this was the big draw for me anyway. I played the demo and really loved it. I thought it was a bit sort of overpriced. It was £12 or so on Xbox 360. My only worry really was that it would underwhelm a little bit, as it's an endless runner, and I've played so many of those on iOS that the genre is pretty much dead to me at this point. But yeah, it's really it's good. I have reservations about it though. I mean, it's really overly quirky. The intro's narrated by Charles Martinet, and it's all sort of 1940s. Everything sounds like there's about to be a cliffhanger happening, and the story's nonsensical, and it keeps flashing up. Use a pad. And I'd heard that, I think from Dave Turner again, that you can use your PlayStation 4 DualShock on your Mac. You just plug it in and that works. But it's completely screwed Steam up for me, and the pad, until I unsynced it, I had to completely unsync it because otherwise Steam wouldn't launch. So beware if that happens. I couldn't seem to find a way around it. Instead, I downloaded a program called Tatty Bogle, which is an Xbox 360 pad driver, which works like a dream. So I played it on an Xbox 360 pad. It's the first time I've played a game on my Mac with a pad, so it was quite weird. And I stuck my headphones on, and the it's really quite lovely. I mean, it's like listening to the epiphany of a burnt-out old raver. It's the most upbeat, the most like brazenly euphoric music. It's the most upbeat music there's ever been, and it is pleasant. I did like listening to it. It's really yes, it's quite nice. But the thing about the game that I really didn't like is the most video gamey aspects of it. So the difficulty, it's really, really rock hard. I mean, there's no lives. If you get hit once, you misjump or you touch one thing, you have to go back either to the beginning or to the halfway point. And each level lasts about as long as a song. So there's several minutes, and it robs the game of one of its central pleasures, which is building the song. So every time you hit a wall or something, it's so jarring to go, and it goes back, and you kind of lose the momentum of the tune. Which is, I don't know, I kind of wish that you could be penalised in points, and there is a high score table, but I wish that was the penalty rather than ruining the song. I found that really frustrating because it's such upbeat music. And it's when you build it, and there's some really cool, well-designed bits of platforming in there. That's really nice. It's so difficult. You basically have to perfect it every time, and I don't know why. It just seemed out of touch with what the rest of the game was. It seemed unnecessarily difficult. Also, much of the content's locked, so you have to find other paths, find keys and stuff. I was like, I don't really want to do this. I kind of want to breeze through it and let this ridiculous music wash over me a little bit. And there are so many moves. I mean, at first you're just jumping and sliding, and then you start kicking, and then there's jump kicks and blocks and all sorts of other combinations. But the levels aren't really themed. So occasionally, a lot of the time actually, you'll be jumping, sliding, jump kick, and you do all these moves, and then the move that you haven't used for like 5 levels would just come out of nowhere just to surprise you, and you get whacked, and then you go all the way back, and you're like, I don't know. It seems like a weird game to be difficult. I mean, I shouldn't penalise it for being something that it's not, but I just felt like the experience I wanted it to be, it wasn't there. it's really clever. I mean, level 2, there's this dancing system where you hold down the right trigger, and as you know, when you're not jumping, you do this little dance, and the animations are really funny. It's easy to die because you sort of get locked into the moves and stuff. But again, the penalty should be losing points rather than killing that music, because you do feel it building, the way it builds over the course of you playing it. It's so satisfying that, I don't know, it's a really, really terrific game, and I've played it an absolute fuckload, and I'm going to play it some more. So it's really good. The difficulty I found it very, very weird.
Yeah, it didn't grab me when I played it before, but yeah, I don't know. Something about it just kind of turned me off when I played the trial a while back.
Didn't you like the dumbass Toy Town music?
I don't like dumbass Toy Town music generally.
Neither do I. No, neither do I. But it
makes me feel like back of my knees are itchy.
But it's not kind of cheesy and like kids' pop music cheesy. It's kind of just like old rave music rendered in not chiptune but rendered. I don't know. I responded to it anyway, and it's just weird that it's such a hard game when. I don't know. It was. It's a game I like. I just thought I was going to absolutely love it, and I don't.
Well, that's fair. I might still pick up that bundle actually and give it a go, because obviously it doesn't cost a lot.
What else is in it? There's Papa EO, Surgeon Simulator, I haven't tried yet. Joe Danger 2, which I can't really be fucked with, and the other one that I didn't realise was in it, which I can't play anyway, so whatever.
Okay, I think they've actually added 3 more games to it today.
Does that mean I can still get them?
Yeah, they'll just be there. You'll have the codes for them, yeah.
Oh, fair play.
I can't remember what they are. They weren't bad, though. They were games I'd heard of, but I've forgotten. Brilliant.
But I bet they don't work on Mac.
Probably not. My number 2, I don't know if this works on Mac. It is The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 1, All That Remains. All right. So I'm going to... If you've not played the Season 1 of The Walking Dead, I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you don't want to know anything, then, I don't know, just go and play it, I guess, or I just make decisions and then follow through with those decisions later on. Anyway, Season 2, Episode 1, you play as Clementine from the first season. The game starts with her and a couple of other characters that you meet in the first season, and it is more of the same. It is, if you played this, or I haven't played The Wolf Among Us, but by all accounts, it is the same engine and the same systems. Moving the character around, interacting with things that the game highlights. There's no real puzzles to speak of, but it's all about choices, dialogue, interactions, and kind of QTE moments of action. And I kind of went into this. I felt like it was going to be good, but that I'd had my fill of The Walking Dead almost.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd done that first season. It was quite an ordeal, I guess you probably if you want to call it. And I felt like I was kind of didn't need any more. But the opportunity came up to actually write about it, so I've gone back in, and within the opening's so fucking good that I was like, yeah, I'm back in. It still packs an absolute wallop. Going into why or would ruin, obviously it ruins it. This is a weird game because you can't really talk about anything that happens, but you know how it plays. But yeah, it's still brilliantly written. The 2 lead writers of the first season, Jake Rodkin and Sean Vanneman, the guys from Idle Thumbs, they've gone on to start their own studio with Ollie Moss, the artist guy, called Campo Santo. So they've left Telltale, but this is now headed up by another chap who I've forgotten, and it's written by another Idle Thumbs guy who's weird nepotism going on, called Nick Brecken. And yeah, it's you can tell the difference. It's brilliantly written. It's a brilliantly written 2-hour piece of kind of interactive fiction, or whatever you want to label this game. It's tense, it's dramatic, it's shocking, it's subtle as well. It earns when it goes hard. I feel it earns those moments, which I don't think the TV series does. I think the TV series, I gave up on the TV series in the 3rd season because I felt that it just went very, very hard, unfairly on the viewer. It didn't set up it's what happened. This I feel does, and it's set I think it's 16 months after the first game, or certainly 16 months after the beginning of this game, if that makes any sense. I don't know how long it is between the end of the first game and this game, but Clementine's a little bit older. She's still very much a little girl, but the way she's written is fantastic, and the way you can choose her responses is also fantastic, because she's a fucking badass in this game, but it's done. She's still fragile, just because of the fact she is small. So there's a lot of scenarios that involve that. You know, Lee was a strong, big man, and he could do physical things in the first series because of the fact he was, you know, an adult, basically, and a fairly strong one at that. Whereas there are things that Clementine can't do because of that, and that creates a whole new set of scenarios. But by far the most interesting stuff is the interactions with other characters that you come across, and I'm completely back in. There's no two ways about it. It's brilliant. I gave it. Oh, actually, cut that bit because the magazine isn't out yet.
Okay.
I gave it a glowing review, and I'm completely back in. I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah, exactly what you were saying. I saw it on the dash today. I keep seeing it, and I just think, I do feel like I've already played that. It's just the thought of going back to something that's so fucking bleak. I don't know. It's the appeal is, I'm really up for going through the other game they did about the
Wolf Among Us.
Yes, that's right, because that was free over Christmas on Xbox, so I've got that to play. Yeah, as brilliant as it was, I'm just it's. I think I'd have to be sort of coerced into going back in. I'm sure I'd love it as soon as I went back to it, but I don't know. It was a bit of like an ordeal, like you said.
Yeah, I would recommend it though. There's a little bit. I think I'd forgotten the kind of the warmth and heart that is in the first series as well, especially as that kind of dissipates, because it does get so harsh towards the end. But that kind of returns, and you meet new characters, and you start to. I don't know. Like you, I needed to be coerced, and the coercion in this case was work. But I was so glad that that happened, because it was just a tremendous 2 hours of fiction. Also, I played on PC. And, that engine's really shit on 360, isn't it? It stutters, it freezes. It's smooth. Yeah. It's completely fine on PC. It's smooth as anything. And it looks really, really nice as well. Just that little bit extra detail, higher resolution, and the smooth frame rate. And it looks like how it, kind of how the artists obviously want the game to look, like the kind of moving graphic novel. But, yeah, it sucks that the engine's so shit on console, because it's fine on PC, and it's not like it should be shit on console, because there are plenty of better looking games that don't struggle. But it's just one of those things. But it also meant that there's no way I can now play, even though I got it for free, The Wolf of Wall Street Among Us on 360, having seen how nice it is on PC.
So you downloaded it over Christmas? Yeah,
I've had it sat in, and I've been meaning to go and play it, and I think my wife would like it as well, because there's a TV program with a very similar setup, which she would like the idea of, like fairy tale characters coming into the real world, but the TV show is shit apparently. But I think she'd like it because she liked The Walking Dead. But I can't justify playing it on such a lesser system. You know what I'm saying? I've just fucking rammed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Wolf Among Us is so much more appealing because it's much more divorced from reality. There is the bleakness of Walking Dead. I don't know. As much as I adored the first series, I don't know. I'll leave it to my girlfriend to decide. If she shows any kind of interest, fuck it, we'll go back in again. This is probably an idiotic question, but if you, I suppose no, there's nothing you can do. I mean, if you say you wanted to play the rest of the game on another format, you have to start again, don't you?
Oh yes, you do. I should have mentioned that actually. What it does is it automatically the game decides your choices for you from the first series. So and it kind of shows you that in a previously on the Walking Dead type of thing. It basically chose all the ones I'd done. So I think one was different, but the rest of them were what I'd chosen anyway. So that was lucky. And if obviously you can import your save. To be honest, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. I'll be fascinated to see, because it feels like, I don't know, the amount of choices that you make in the first episode of this one, it feels like all that stuff's just in the past. But who knows? Who knows what's coming up?
But if say you wanted to play episode 2 of this on 360 or something,
I don't know.
I don't think you can. I think that's a stupid question.
Well, on PC, you can only buy the season pass, so I'll be on PC for the rest of this one.
Oh, okay, fair enough. They don't let you buy individual episodes.
No, that's why I haven't bought The Wolf Among Us, because if I had, I would have happily laid down £3-4 or whatever for the first episode of that on PC. But yeah, I've got to go all in. To be honest, the first season was there available for £12 at one point on the Steam sale, which isn't very much really, but yeah, I didn't risk it. I should have really.
To be honest, I mean, I've only played the trial of Wolf Among Us on 360, but although it was still sketchy as a bastard, it didn't seem to be as bad as Walking Dead. But ignore me because the full game I haven't played. So yeah, okay. I may potentially speak about that at some point down the line. Okay, my number one is a game I haven't played yet, so we're going to talk about that in the future. So fast forward to the future and then see you back in real time later or something. Here you go. Okay, my number one then is Assassin's Creed Liberation HD on Xbox 360, also available on PSN and HD on PC. I take it you have no intention of playing this.
I can't see me playing it. I didn't play it on Vita, and I'm still only about a quarter of the way into Assassin's Creed 4. Yeah, the thought of playing both together, nah.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of 6s and 7s, and I think that's pretty much bang on. I mean, I can imagine the whole point of it was that it was novel having a game like that on your portable gaming device. So playing it on a console just feels like sort of lower tier Assassin's Creed. So it is kind of pointless. I haven't played it on Vita, but briefly, you play as Aveline, who's this French woman who looks at points like Rihanna. And it's the same sprawling plot as always, but there's a bit more focus to it in that it's about there's these mysterious disappearances of these slaves and you have to solve it. But the cutscenes are briefer than usual. There's not as much exposition. It's definitely a downscaled Assassin's Creed game, and it's okay. The crimes that Assassin's Creed games tend to commit are here in abundance, so it's there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do. It's like, perform this elaborate task. You walk to a door, open it, and then it's a cutscene, and you've done it. Jump in the wagon, investigate the barn, interact with that desk. You know, a lot of the time, a cutscene will finish. It'll say, "Do this," and then you'll walk a few feet in game, and then touch the button, and then another cutscene. So it does that more than the large games, which is a little bit annoying. But it's okay. It's fine. I mean, I don't think it's brilliant. I don't think it probably wasn't brilliant on the Vita either. But if you're hungry for more Assassin's Creed, it's completely passable. I mean, there are some really unforgivable things that it does. The combat is as simple as it's always been, but there's one mission in particular, and I'm sure it happens in other places for other people, where I was stealthing at the top of these trees, and you had to take out these guys without being detected, but there was no way to choose between moves. Your options were walk up to the person and press X. Sometimes you'd walk up to the person and stealthily kill them. Sometimes you'd walk off and you'd shoulder barge them off. You could walk as slowly as possible, creep up, touch X, boom, you'd send them flying down into all the other guys. Oh, you've been detected, go back.
Sounds great. Sounds bad. Like my cup of tea.
Yeah, that was a low point, but by and large it works fairly well. I mean, there's the usual visual imperfections you'd completely expect from a port like this. So there's loads of texture pop in. Occasionally the frame rate goes a little bit skittish, and the character models are just exclusively stiff, uncanny valley droids. Very much like if you had to compare it in visuals, in terms of visuals to a game, it'd be Assassin's Creed 2, which hasn't aged brilliantly, but if it looked even vaguely like this on the Vita, it's another testament to how good the Vita is. The AI occasionally is just, but the AI, in fact, all the time is just stupid. And it's the first Assassin's Creed game where I've been involved in a fight with multiple characters, and they've just got confused and started fighting each other. It fades to black whenever you loot a chest, and you do quite a lot of looting, and sometimes it'll fade to black after a cutscene is triggered after it. It's a little bit of a mess. Yeah, it's very much an Ubisoft game, and what I mean is that recently there's been a lot of crossover. So the crafting and the hunting aspects of Far Cry 3 were just lifted wholesale by Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah.
But that worked. Here, there's an action sequence where you're hallucinating after being drugged, and there's a tribal dance ritual going on around you, and you're trying to kill an apparition of the bad guy that keeps bouncing around. And I was like, deja vu. I was like,
Jesus.
They just lifted that directly from Far Cry 3, and I just thought that's really slack. So basically, I think it's passably entertaining. The problem is, I mean, if you're a completist and for some reason you haven't played this on Vita, you will want to play it. And if you can take, if you can go from, which is a seismic the high point of the series by quite some distance, and go all the way back to a game that was, although it was released alongside Assassin's Creed 3, it feels much more like the earlier games. If you can handle that shift, then you will enjoy it all right. But it's been very callously priced. I mean, considering Ubisoft charged 12 quid or so for Far Cry Blood Dragon and Call of Juarez Gunslinger, which is like, I would have paid happily more money for those titles. Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, despite the fact that Ubisoft have gone out of their way to brag about how well it sold for a Vita game, it's cost £16. And I just, when people have moved on to the next generation of consoles, I think that's just, I don't know many people who are going to want to buy that apart from complete nutcases.
I don't want to buy it. I know that much. It's, if I was ever going to play that game, it would be on the handheld. I think I just it's too close to the last one. The thought of climbing over more buildings, I can't do it, mate. I can't do it.
Well, it's passable. It couldn't be better than this because it was only as good as the Vita game, and it seems a bit pointless because it's clearly has clearly been optimized for a handheld gaming device. But hey ho, it's fine. I just think it's overpriced and it's imperfect. But if you're an Assassin's Creed maniac, then you won't be that disappointed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, well, I guess we fast forward back to real time or something. Right, and then that was that. I suppose. I think that worked. Did it work? Who knows?
Oh, it doesn't matter. And my number one is Don't Starve then on PlayStation 4. Okay, so this is the game from Clay. It's been out on PC. Clay are the guys who did what's it called? Mark of the Ninja. I was thinking Ninja Theory. Mark of the Ninja and Shank 1 and 2. And it is a roguelike, for want of a better word. That is now the word that describes this type of thing. Randomly generated game with permanent death. I think that's what that now means, basically. And you play as a weird little scientist dude, I guess he is, set in the olden days. It doesn't really matter. It's all done in this kind of etching pencil style. Kind of isometric view / top down, and it's a survival game. The aim being that you're dumped in this world, you don't have a clue what to do, but you know that you don't starve because that's the quickest way to die, unless you go and get eaten by something. What I liked about Don't Starve straight away, I liked the style of it. I thought it was unusual, and it is very unusual. But what I liked about it straight away was that it didn't really tell you what to do, but it didn't. I started to work out what to do quite quickly. Sometimes games don't tell you what to do, and I'm just wandering around completely lost. Whereas this, quite quickly, I suddenly worked out, okay, well, it's a day-night cycle. I'm assuming by the time it gets to pitch black, I'm going to die. So there's a menu on the left and there's a menu on the bottom. I know I have to not starve. I've got health. That looks like a stomach. These are different meters, and I'm assuming that one's sanity. So I worked all this out within 10 minutes or something. And then I just started. You find stuff. You're walking around, and here's a rock, here's a carrot, here's a twig or something like that, and you start to build up a little arsenal of gear, and you work out that you can quickly craft stuff. So you craft an axe, start chopping down trees. You can use those trees to make a fire, and then build on and on and on. And then I think the first couple of games I played, I ended up dying within a couple of days, just experimenting like that. But then soon I just worked out that because it's the only option it really gives you beyond the basics, that you have to make something called a science machine, which lets you build a bunch of other shit. And so once I got the ingredients to build that, started building a bunch of other shit, and then went off exploring. It was a bit tougher, had some food, and then I don't know. The whole game's about discovery, and I just started seeing the weirdest stuff as I walked out. Just, you never knew what you were going to find, and I knew I needed certain things in order to I wanted to build a farm. So you go off into uncharted lands, and there could be weird fucking monsters that are just an eye with legs that chase you and try and headbutt you. Or I found a bunch of these things called beefaloes, which are big cows. Found like a weird, like an altar. Found these wormholes into other worlds. There's these pigmen which they won't attack you, and they can befriend them. And I was really digging it. If it was a weird game. I liked the structure of it. It was one of those things where I could tell, even as I was playing it, this was going to be a brief obsession. This was something that I was going to play a lot and think about a lot for a small amount of time. And in that respect, makes it the perfect freebie because there's no risk involved in terms of laying down cash. It was just, do I like it or not? And I really do. I dig Don't Starve a lot. I think it's very good.
I don't have a massive amount to say because I'm not sure what I think, and I'm not sure if I'll go back to it. I mean, I think I probably will at some point down the line saying that. And yeah, like you said, there's no instructions at all. And at first, I just thought, what is this? I mean, I played like 3 or 4 games on the trot that just sort of made a point of not explaining themselves. But in the end, I think that is part of the appeal because I mean, the only information you need is the title, Don't Starve, and you are left to figure everything out yourself. In this instance, I don't think that's a problem, and I think that's actually a point to doing that. It's just you do need to set time. I mean, it's an invitation to lose yourself. I saw it as, I have to set a lot of time aside, and I don't have any time. The appeal of it wasn't readily apparent, but then again, like I said, you have to. It is an invitation to spend a lot of time figuring out what it is and sort of uncovering its secrets and whatnot. And I don't know. I think it will grab me if I give it time, but I just haven't had the time. I just a bit of a mystery at this point.
No, I get that. One thing I do really like about the way it's structured is that I've played other games where you're given a billion different things you can craft and a billion different things, and you just don't even know where to start. Whereas this does dole it out. You know, it does kind of guide you without it being explicit. You know, it guides you towards making that science machine, and then even once you've made that, you can only prototype a few things out of that. So it does guide you in the general direction of what you should be doing to try and survive. And you know, the longer you go, and then you start tripping out, and the trees start moving, things like that. I just really dug how weird it was, and. It just, I love, you know, the thing that I love about The Binding of Isaac, that I love about Spelunky is just the knowledge, in fact, that you're going to see stuff that you just were never expecting you'd never seen before. And that is one of the great thrills of those types of games. And this, for me, I just really liked it. I don't know how much more I'll play it. I'm definitely going to go back to it again. It might completely grab me, or I might only play a few more sessions. Good thing is you can actually save in this as well. I didn't realise that at first. But I've got a game about 5 or 6 days in where I'm playing with a different character now and it's saved, and I'm looking forward to going back to it. I've heard that sometimes the worlds that it seeds they just kind of don't give you a chance. So you can wander for miles and you never find any of those big cows, and then you can't make a farm, and it just turns into a bit of a nightmare. But I haven't had too many problems with it in that respect. But yeah, it's kind of mad that this is a console game and it came for free, and it's a real shifting of the whole perception of what console is at the moment.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'll go back to it. I have absolutely no. I mean, I've seen it's got some really, really, really high review scores, and I don't doubt that it's really, really terrific. But I just had to keep it at arm's length because I don't have the time.
Yeah, I get that.
Maybe I reckon one day I'll just stick it on because it's going to stay on my PS4.
Yeah.
One day I'll jump in and then hopefully it will just grab me by the bollocks. But until then, I don't. I'm happy to keep it at arm's length. But it's evidently clear. You know, it's completely abundantly clear that it's very, very, very good indeed.
And very weird in a good way. I like that. Cool.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's us done. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully that worked out all right with the fast forwarding time or whatever. But yeah, thanks for listening. Check us out on Facebook. Don't bother. We're on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. There's some stuff on there, and we're on Twitter. Sort of at John Denton, at Chet Roivers, at Chet and Johns, and I think that's it.
Yeah, always up for a national on Twitter. That's the only reason I'm on there. And is that it? Do we have any more things?
Oh, if you want to hear a podcast with me on it, where the format's basically Room 101, go onto iTunes and look for the Recycle Bin podcast. And I put 3 things in the bin that I hate. The final one is 20 minutes of me trying not to go into a rant about something that I managed to not go into a rant about. People who know me will know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, the Recycle Bin. Check it out. It's all right.
Yeah, do that. If you want to listen to a podcast with me on it, you just did. See you later.
Goodbye.
Hi, we're here with Terry Cavanaugh, developer of Super Hexagon. Terry, what can you tell us about Super Hexagon? Why Super Hexagon?